I call the honourable member Camcorder.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Many of us may choose to sample a cleansing ale, maybe a curvaceous aromatic red or a complex peaty Lafroig single malt from time to time. Most New Zealanders partake responsibly. Sadly, a significant number do not. This alcohol reform legislation is a multi-strand approach to minimise alcohol-related harms. The harms we're talking about are reflected in the crime statistics, incidents of public disorder and the numbers filling our hospital casualty departments and wards. Alcohol is estimated to contribute directly to 1,000 deaths a year and is a major driver of crime. It is implicated in 30% of all police-recorded offences, 34% of all recorded family violence and 50% of homicides. Now, purchase age is just one of a number of strands of our reforms, an issue upon we MPs are privileged to have a conscience vote. We know the purchase age itself will not be a cure or a panacea to fix the damage that alcohol causes in our society, and we all acknowledge the need for a cultural shift in New Zealand's attitudes. I acknowledge the fact that many young people drink responsibly, and I acknowledge the fact that misuse of alcohol is not confined to the young. I do, however, support a rise in the purchase age to 20 at both on-licence and off-licences, and there are a number of reasons for this. Crucially, I personally have not observed any diminution in the level of alcohol-related harm since the purchase age was reduced to 18 in 1999. You could say that young people have had a 13-year-long trial to prove they could behave responsibly, and the results speak for themselves. Working as a hospital doctor in the 90s, I spent many hours in A&E attending to the victims of alcohol-related traffic accidents and violent assaults. Talking to colleagues who still practice medicine today, this situation has only worsened. I admire the work that our uniformed policemen and women do in our community, and I've taken the opportunity to go out with police patrols in a number of occasions in Manurewa. Unsurprisingly, alcohol was a factor in many cases that they attended, and it's interesting to note that the Manurewa Youth Council and the results of my 2 surveys of the wider Manurewa electorate overwhelmingly support a raising of the purchase age to 20. I wish to acknowledge the Law Commission, and I note that following a comprehensive review of international evidence about harm to teenagers from alcohol, including 4 independent New Zealand public trials, the Law Commission's final recommendation was to return the purchase age to 20 for both licensed premises and off-licences. We've heard much about the rights of teenagers to access alcohol. The argument runs, if you can vote, you can become an MP, get married or go to war at 18, then why shouldn't you be able to buy alcohol? The compelling argument is that voting, becoming an MP or getting married actually doesn't normally lead to serious harm befalling the individual. Going to war, of course, is an exception, but 18-year-olds are not sent off to war by themselves, undergo rigorous training and are supervised by older colleagues. Interestingly enough, we don't need people to go into casinos to reduce the harm to them there until the age of 20. The situation that pertains in New Zealand at the moment is that every 18-year-old has a licence to purchase alcohol with no supervision requirements, indeed no restriction on their ability to supply alcohol to younger teenagers and children. It's very pertinent to note here that a purchase age of 20 doesn't stop 18-year-olds drinking with adult supervision. We've got a purchase age in New Zealand, not a drinking age, and it should be noted that as a parent, when my daughters were younger, I could take them into licensed premises, have a drink with them in supervised areas. Another concern I have is the neuroplasticity of the developing brain. Research indicates for most people the maturation process involves a gradual shift from instinctual brain responses to more rational ones, as continuing well into the 20s. In other words, a dose of alcohol in an 18-year-old, on average, has the potential to do more harm than the same dose in a 25-year-old. Delaying alcohol use, decreasing the overall amount used before adulthood will reduce the variety of risk, and it's also likely to impact upon the increasing incidence of fetal alcohol syndrome that is a serious and growing problem in New Zealand. I urge the House to support a purchase age of 20.
What's her name? What's her name? I call the honourable member Nikki Kay.
Mr. Chair.